The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 780. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Eva Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is the co-founder of Launch Pop, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Eva Chan. Eva, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Yeah, awesome. So born and raised in Toronto, Canada. I started Launch Pop about 2.5 years ago. Basically, what we do is we help very early stage founders launch their e-commerce companies from concept to until they raise their first round.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Eva, what's your cultural background?
Yeah, so I'm actually Canadian-born Chinese. They call me a CBC back in Canada.
Thanks for sharing that. And what'd be your favorite self-confidence quote?
I would think it's a quote by Will Smith. He says, the other side of fear is bliss.
Thanks for sharing that. And it's so true, right? When we can, go to the other side of fear, like it can be a great opportunity. It can actually so much good things. But I know sometimes it can be hard to, go to the other side of fear because fear can sometimes eat us up or control us. So once we can see fear as something that's not real, that's just an illusion, we can move forward. So thanks for sharing that. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
Self-confidence is a very scary journey to go towards and build over time. And so, for me, confidence is a journey, it's an action, it's an emotion. It's not just the way you portray yourself. I think that's how I define confidence. And what I mean is, confidence is also fearful. So it's about taking a journey to identify what things are fearful and then, putting yourself in opportunities to tackle the fear. And then you come out a little more confident.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. And Eva, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
So, Canadian, born Chinese, I was raised by immigrants. My parents moved to Toronto back in the 80s from China. So I grew up in a very conservative household. I was very scared to speak up. I was very scared to have an opinion. And every time I did, and I think many people can relate, you have that glowing red face and you can feel the rush to your face every time you had something to say. That was me growing up. And what it meant was a lot of my thoughts were inside my head. I would, circle, all my opinions and thoughts and comments inside my head and have a conversation with myself as I observe others. That was my life before.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's something most Asian kids can relate to, right? The conservative upbringing, especially, not being able to speak your voice, especially as an Asian woman, right? I mean, we've always just been told to just live one way of life, never make any noise, never bring any attention to you, never do anything outside what you're told to do because, it's considered shameful or people might think you're crazy and whatnot. But, times have changed. I mean, what we know now, like what worked maybe 10 or 20, 40 or 50 years ago will not work today. I mean, things change, environments change. We're in an age of social media. And, what was that point in your life when you realized you can go out there and be who you are today and have that confidence? What was that aha moment?
Yeah, I think there were many moments. There's many stages that we go through growing up. I think my very first aha moment was my first job. Very scared to speak up, as I mentioned, but my first job was actually a coffee shop, and I was a barista at the time. I was, placed in an environment that I was scared to interact with customers, but over time, because I was forced to do that over and over and over again, it became second thought. So the aha moment was, hey, it's not as scary as you think. It's all in your head. No one really cares. If you can articulate or if you have thoughts, it's okay to just say it. And then I think the second aha moment was later in my career when I joined a large company and I had so many thoughts. I joined as a designer. I'm not even a designer anymore. And, I had thoughts about other parts of the business that was outside of design. For example, strategies about our sales tactics and whatnot. And I spoke up once, and it was really my boss at the time that emailed me and said, hey, you should speak up more because your opinions matter. And I think having that really helped unlock a lot of the confidence that is today.
Thanks for sharing that. And that's great that you had a boss that encouraged you to speak up. I mean, I think sometimes people forget that, you were hired for a reason, you bring something to the table. And especially as women, I know sometimes women, especially like in a corporate setting, is always like nerve wracking because sometimes you could be the only girl in the office or in the meeting and it's like they might not take you seriously because you're a woman, but I mean, you're there for a reason. You are there because you have ideas, skills, and talents that you can help the company that you're working for make more money or, just have a better environment, whatever it is. You shouldn't be afraid to speak up. And I know it's easier said than done, but that's why when you work on yourself, it does get easier. And sometimes, our intuition is telling us something, but we're still too scared because we're so afraid about what we're thinking or what other people might think of us, not realizing like, the guy beside you just pretty much said the idea that you wanted to say. So you're better off just saying it anyways. And because of that realization, what's your life been like now?
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole new definition of, I guess, how people view you and how you should view outwardly. If you're afraid to speak or if you're afraid that your opinions don't matter. We often speak about being a woman or being an immigrant or a minority is hard because you're in a situation where you're outnumbered or you're not seen as important. I think, a lot of that definition is a meaning that we create ourselves, and the negative feelings surrounding that is a very outwardly approach. For example, being outward, blaming society that way, being that way. Yes, there is that happening, but I think if we redefine that for ourselves and be more inward about how we approach and view it, for example, don't think that you are a woman, you're the only woman in the room. View it as your role in the room is this, regardless of your gender, and your opinion matters because of your role. So that's how I view myself in the room, and that's really helped me kind of lean into many situations.
Thanks for sharing that. And that's great that you're able to see yourself as, someone who can contribute something regardless of gender, regardless if, you are an immigrant, regardless if you're Asian. I mean, we all have something that we can contribute. And like I mentioned, you're there for a reason. And you know what? Sometimes we won't always hit a home run, but at least we're able to speak up and say that idea worked, that idea didn't work. At least we know versus wondering what if. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you'd give to her?
Yeah, I think the one tip I would give is, especially from my upbringing and how my journey has shaped me today, is really redefining the definition of confidence. I think oftentimes we attach adjectives like being loud or being forward and, being outgoing as an imagery of confidence. But I think, being confident can also be something very different. You could be quiet, you could be an introvert. It's okay. If you articulate and speak meaningfully, that is confident. The more you do this, the more, you can build confidence with others. And, your words would be heard every time you speak in a room, whether or not you can project or be outgoing. And then on the other side of that, you speak too often without enough meaning, you often dilute your impact.
Thanks for sharing that great tip. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and check out some of your work, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yes, I'm on Instagram. I don't talk a lot about work on there, but I love sharing, the adventures that I go on beyond work. So you can check my Instagram out at Eva Chan Design.
Thanks for sharing that. And our listeners, if you want to connect with Eva, you can also head on over to the taoselfconfidence.com and search for Eva's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Eva today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Eva.
Yeah, thank you, Sheena.
Not a problem. It was really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Want to learn how you can use podcasting to market your business? Download your free report by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.